laughing. Immediately laughing.
No, I had to.
Oh, you're taking a sip.
Drink.
I see.
Yes.
All right.
Water.
The music is slowly fading. Trumpet is doing its thing. The
What trumpet?
from the introduction song.
Yes. Okay.
All right. Second episode of the Milky Tea Podcast. With me is again Stella. Say hi.
Hi. You didn't even introduce yourself.
You
should say with me.
Exactly. I introduce you, and then you're supposed to.
Oh,
introduce
then I
me.
introduce you.
Yes, exactly.
With Domenik.
Jesus. All right. So, second episode of the Milky Tea Podcast. Who would have thought that actually this is going to be a regular thing? So, at least I think we'll try to keep up with this weekly. I don't know if we're going to do it weekly, but
let's see how it goes. But the plan is to have one out every week.
Yes, exactly. I think this is a good amount, something that you can look forward to, maybe. Exactly. So, and obviously this also depends on if people like it. So, thank you so much. We've got quite the feedback from our first episode, and I hope that we can improve the podcast.
We have 9 subscribers.
Which obviously isn't that much, but
it's something.
It's something. So thank you so much. Thank you for your feedback. And
also we need to think about having this on podcast platforms like Spotify.
Exactly. I think this was the most requested feedback that we've gotten is that people would like to also listen to this on other platforms such as Spotify.
And it also makes sense because, for example, for me, when I listen to podcasts myself, I would do it when I'm going to work or when I'm working out. When I'm on the tram, for example, and I don't have time to log into YouTube and do it from there. And most of the time you do it while doing other things, so it plays in the background. And
of course.
Yeah. So we'll look into it.
Yeah. Still, I feel like we definitely should also put it on YouTube because I think YouTube is a nice platform to share things with other people,
Yes.
So, if you enjoy the podcast or have some feedback for us, maybe topics that you want us to talk about or something, or that you just generally like hanging with us and talking about what's happening in the world, please comment and please share your thoughts. And maybe also share the podcast with people you think might enjoy it. So thank you so much.
Or also, if you want to collaborate on something, talk about something, we could make that happen, I think. Because that was the other feedback I got.
Oh, really?
For example, yes.
You didn't even tell me about it.
I'll tell you about it.
Oh, that's so cool. I'm glad that people liked it so far. So, let's see where it goes.
Great.
Today, I wanted to talk about something very specific with you. And it's a show that we've been watching lately, every once in a while. And the show is called Blackish.
Yes.
Would you like to introduce the show to our listeners?
That's my favorite.
Your favorite what?
My favorite show.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay, tell us about Blackish.
It's just sad that we've watched all the seasons now, and there's nothing more to watch. So we had to switch to another show. But I don't mind going back to it again.
Of course, I think it would be very rewatchable.
Yes.
So Blackish is. How would you even describe Blackish? I think it's based on formula. It's just another sitcom, family-centric sitcom. But the twist about it is it's an Afro-American family. And they are tackling very controversial topics very often. And it's very funny but educational at the same time, which I think most sitcoms sort of choose either or. It's sometimes some are very entertaining.
Yeah.
But then lack the morale or the substance behind it, exactly.
But also, I feel like it's not just tackling controversial issues, but also real life situations and what families, at least most families, would go through on a normal day-to-day interactions with themselves, interaction with other family members, school stuff. Bereavement, for example.
And obviously, one of the biggest central topics of it is racism.
Yes.
Which, I mean, you're from Kenya. I can only assume that...
Do you mean to say you're African? Not necessarily from Kenya.
Not necessarily. No, you're black.
Yes.
So could you... Do you think like how they betrayal race topics is accurate?
I think again, racial stuff has to do with context.
Yes, definitely.
As an African from an African setting, being brought up in an African, in that African context, I wouldn't say I've experienced such kind of racism as is portrayed in the show, and that makes sense because this is the American context.
Definitely.
Interaction with race it's very different from what I would experience as an African in Africa.
What about, I mean, you're now currently in Europe.
Yes.
So how about that?
Again, I feel like that's also a contextual thing. Race issues in Europe are also slightly different from how it's portrayed on the show and how it happens in the US.
I mean,
I think.
Yeah, but that's also because...
But there are similarities, of course.
Of course there are similarities, but we shouldn't forget that the US and most European countries have drastically different cultures also in how dealing with things. So, yeah. I suggest that we get a little into the show because I think there's so much to talk about. And
we might actually have to do an episode on racism. Not necessarily racism, but racial stuff. Just the subject on its own.
Oh, you mean like a podcast episode where we talk about it? I think so. It's honestly this coming from a Kenyan girl and a German guy. I think we have some things to talk about, and it's such a huge topic in both of our lives, actually. So every once in a while, this will pop up. We don't want to be bummers for you, but I think it's important stuff in the world, and it's important to talk about. I feel like if we not talk about it, but it's never going to get better.
Yeah, it's also interesting to see. I've myself not traveled to the US. I don't have that experience, but I've been to other countries, other African countries, sub-Saharan Africa, and the northern parts of Africa. So that context also is different. You experience different forms of racism depending on where you are, and that would be interesting to explore. And even in Switzerland, just traveling and living in parts that are more, I'd say, inclusive and more, like in Geneva, for example. It's very multicultural. And then take this vis-a-vis other cantons that are not necessarily as multicultural. It would be interesting to see these variations in the different places we've been to. And then being in Germany, for example, being in Eastern Europe, that's another experience in itself. And I think we'd need an episode to discuss this.
Yes, of course. So please tell us if you would be interested in that or if that would be off-putting for you. But this would be definitely something that we would like to talk about.
Yeah.
But I feel like we've moved away from Blackish. The show now.
No, but that's the biggest theme, I'd say.
I would say it's, honestly, it is. Race is basically driving all of the conversations and the major themes of the show.
Yeah.
And I think many of them are beautifully portrayed. I immediately can think of so many episodes where they really hit you with the feelings, right? Like, and that I really praise the show for sometimes not sugarcoating it, you know, because many sitcoms would do that when they talk about controversial topics. That in the end it's like, you know, everything is fine, you know, and in Blackish sometimes the story doesn't end fine, and it's realistic that way. It's
realistic.
Okay. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Because let's be real, in life sometimes things are not okay, and we have to deal with it.
Yeah, but okay, so let's just pick up from the racial factor. I like that the show in itself is not only racially inclusive, but it's also inclusive on other aspects.
Totally.
They talk about gender related stuff, like at the workplace. We've seen this. We've seen how
Let's first talk about the characters, because I feel like if you haven't seen the show,
okay,
then people will not understand what we talk about. So basically, the series is centered about the Johnson family, with the father Andre Johnson. He works in advertisement.
Yeah.
Right, and he lives there with his wife Rainbow, who is a medical doctor. And
always reminding everyone she's a doctor.
Exactly.
Saves lives.
She's very proud of being a doctor, and very much in your face about the fact that she is
biracial.
She's biracial. Mother is black or
mixed,
even mixed herself, and she has a white dad. And that's also, by the way, a topic that is very often ignored. And very much talked about in the show, that it's basically colorism also within the African American communities.
Yeah.
Then there's their children, you know, there's your favorite character. Your favorite character is Junior, so the first son. He's just stupid, you know. He's the nerdy kid. The dad is so often disapproving of him because he's into Dungeons and Dragons and stuff.
He's basically into white stuff.
He's into
according
white stuff,
to the dad,
exactly. Yeah.
Who wants him to be more black?
Yeah, basically. There's your very superficial daughter Zoe, you know, who's Instagramming,
into fashion.
Yeah, exactly.
Social media stuff.
Yeah. And they have two twins. Exactly. These are two very interesting characters also.
Why did you say two twins?
I mean, because they're
just
two.
No!
Every twin is a two.
No, the twins.
Yeah,
if you say two twins, it means, they're two sets of twins.
Oh, no, it's one set of two people. There's Diane and Jack. So these are the younglings of the family. Right?
Diane is the evil one.
She's really portrayed as some evil mastermind. I love it.
Yeah.
And Jack is just goofy.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then their parents.
Oh, that's right. Dre's parents are also often part of the show.
They live with them.
Yeah. And these are your I want to say your stereotypical African American parents, yes.
African American parents.
Specifically. So his mother Ruby is very much, how would you describe her? Oh, hail Black Jesus.
Oh my God.
She's super religious and in your face about it. And dear God,
But sometimes I feel like she's too much. Obviously. First of all, and then she claims to be really staunch in her Christianity stuff, and then she does evil things.
She does. She's one of the most evil characters of the show.
She's always putting Rainbow down.
She's so hypocritical in many of the things she says. So she really preaches to behave good for her own benefits, really.
Preach water, drink wine.
Exactly.
Kind of.
Exactly, 100%. Yeah. And then there's his father Earl. I love this guy. You know, he's an alcoholic.
Did we just conclude he's an alcoholic, or is it because he drinks a lot on the show?
I mean, if he drinks a lot, and that's usually also his solutions
to problems.
To problems is to drink booze. So I think this pretty much qualifies you as an alcoholic.
Yeah. Another interesting thing is the relationship they have. I mean, the parents.
With each other?
Yes, Ruby and Pops.
I mean, she blew up his boat.
But if you look at the progression of the relationship from the first season to the end, it's just dramatic. It's so dramatic, but they love each other.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. That's also interesting to see. And again, how they deny their feelings towards each other.
I mean, that's basically the whole show, right? Feelings are obviously in a family-centric show are very important in how the different characters interact with each other.
Yes.
But I really like how this is actually portrayed, because this is very close to real life, you know?
Mm-hmm.
People sometimes don't know how to cope with their own feelings, how to understand their own feelings and be real with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore, there's so much conflict happening. But it's really mature how they deal with the conflict usually. So they basically, I feel like in every episode they show you how to not deal with conflict, and then in the end how to ideally resolve stuff.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the family.
So that's basically the one major part of the show. And there's this second set, I want to say, the second set of people.
The workplace.
Which is the workplace. And I love these guys. You know, I feel like there's my favorite character in there. So as I said, exactly. so Dre's working in this marketing company.
Advertising.
It's advertising. Yeah, exactly. And he's basically he's the head of suburban
urban department
of the urban department,
AKA
exactly, the black stuff.
And he's the go-to for advice on how to do pitches for black related stuff.
Exactly. So basically to
normal,
bring products to the black masses.
Even normal stuff, like they want to know how to handle someone who's black, and they go to him for advice.
That's all they do. They basically never work. They just sit together, eat something, and talk about Dre's problems at home.
Yes.
That's all they do. And the boss of the company is totally in. So they're really happy if they don't have to work and can just talk about private stuff.
If this was a normal workplace, this agency would be...
Most of the people were fired, like immediately. And there's my personal favorite character, Charlie.
Charlie, that's my favorite character as well.
Oh, really?
At the workplace.
He is so crazy.
So weird.
It's so difficult to describe this character, really. Like, he's all over the place. It's a running gag that he constantly forgets about his own son. Like, he's gone for like 2 weeks, and then he comes back and he's like, Eustace.
Oh, yeah, I remembered the name.
Oh, it's so funny. So,
and he's just doing all the wrong things.
I mean, that's basically
There's
perfect
a time
for the
he
show.
was sleeping at the office.
Yeah.
No, but I like him, and I also like the dynamic between him and Dan.
Oh yes, he is super scared of the youngest daughter, Diane, who is like, I don't know, she's like 8 years old or something, and he is so, I would say, scared to death.
Yeah.
And she threatens him to death. Yes. It's so lovely.
Yeah. And then who else is... Oh, I like not like, but I find it weird that Stevens, the boss
of the company,
this relationship he has with his son, Pumpkin, is super weird.
I mean, yeah, they are your stereotypical super rich white people who are so out of touch, so out of touch of everything, you know.
Yeah.
These kinds of people who have no idea what
What's
a sack of tomatoes costs in the supermarket and think it's like thousands of dollars. They have so in their own headspace.
Yeah. But I feel like, what's his name? The guy, Josh. He tries.
Oh, Josh is also a workplace guy. He's basically he tries to be cool and black
an Ivy
and
League?
is exactly.
Harvard.
He went to Harvard, but he's I feel like he's actually a nice person. He just tries too hard.
Yeah, he tries too hard
to be cool.
But also doesn't understand stuff like when they had the conversation about Drake going to Howard. And I was like, oh, we hired you because we thought you said Harvard.
Exactly.
Yeah, but
there's so many different characters, and I think it would be too much to talk about each and every one of them.
Yeah.
But I really like how inclusive that show is.
Yeah.
They really talk about so many issues.
My favorite, some of my favorite episodes. Yeah. Some of my favorite episodes. I keep mispronouncing episodes. Some of my favorite episodes were on how this lady at the workplace, how they deal with her from a gender.
You mean the white lady?
Yes.
Yeah, so there's this Jewish white lady who's also in the group. I
feel so bad for her.
Yes, you should really, because they are so sexist towards her. It's crazy. And I feel like within the show she's being fired for like 20 times or something and rehired some episodes later. It's crazy.
Yeah.
For example, Dre is gone for like 2 weeks, so they will hire her, quote unquote, for a quota, and as soon as he comes back from his vacation, fire her again. Exactly. They are so cruel.
But I like how they deal with the sexist stuff, because this is what happens also in real life.
It is, yeah.
And I still don't understand what the black boss, the lady, what she does on the show. She's super mean.
Yeah, I think what was the reason they brought her in? Because
Steven's partner, they divorced, and this is the wife, and she got the company.
Exactly.
Yeah. But she's also weird and in a funny.
Yeah, I don't think it's an interesting character, to be honest.
Yeah.
She's just there.
Yeah.
But yeah. I think there's so much in there if you want to have a laugh and also get a real good glimpse on black life, black culture, or at the very least Afro-American culture. But honestly, just a really funny and entertaining show that's also educating.
Yeah.
Go check out Blackish. I think it's on Amazon Prime, right?
It's not on Netflix.
It isn't on Netflix, unfortunately. But we watch it on Amazon Prime, and you should definitely check it out if you're into this stuff.
Yes. Also, it's short.
Oh, that's also a very big plus for me as well. I think each episode is like 20 minutes, 21.
20, yeah.
Exactly. So it's just funny ha-has, but also mixed with nice, morale. And
it's so funny.
Yeah.
But also people who like Modern Family and Big Bang.
Yeah, definitely.
Would also love Blackish.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
How would you rank them? You've watched all three?
Okay, we are talking about Blackish, Big Bang Theory, and
Modern Family.
Honestly,
I feel like I already know your ranking.
Okay,
first, and it could be like mine.
Okay, first tell me what you think about
Blackish. Drum rolls. That should have come before I said Blackish. But okay. So Blackish, Big Bang, Modern Family.
That is very true. That is it's correct.
Well?
Yes, it is.
But the reason why I put Modern Family third and not say first is because it's the same setup. It's the same concept as Blackish.
Yes, it's basically a patchwork family, right?
Yeah. And I love the characters. Oh my god, we have to do an episode on Blackish because I like
on Modern Family.
Modern Family. I also like the characters, but sometimes I feel like they don't really, and maybe that's not the point of the show to deal with all the issues society is dealing with.
Yeah.
But I like the fact that Blackish is more inclusive.
That's the thing. I feel like Modern Family, it tries to be inclusive specifically for gay people strongly, and
which is also a good thing.
And somewhat through Gloria about the Latina aspect. But I feel like they just scratch the surface of huge topics and don't get really into them.
Yeah. But it's also a really good show.
It's a good show. It's funny also. Honestly, I struggle with Big Bang. You know, I used to love the Big Bang Theory during my bachelor years when it wasn't cool.
When it wasn't cool. It's always been cool.
I don't think so.
Look at the ratings.
Nowadays. I feel like in the beginning.
I also started watching it way back.
Yeah,
in undergrad.
I don't know. Like, at least I feel like in Germany it didn't hit off immediately. You know, it was this very nerd
just for nerds
thing. Exactly.
Yeah.
And I really feel like that also shows in the development of the show. Because in the beginning, I feel like in the first few seasons, it was very almost science-centric and also video game, nerdy culture, comic book centric. And it moved away from that, and it became more about, you know, the characters and the relationships. So,
I mean,
to appeal the masses.
I don't know, because, and also for me, I started watching it because of the not so romantic stuff, and then when that started happening, I ditched it.
Exactly.
But I've rewatched the at least the first 3 seasons almost, I'd say even 10 times.
You know, it's the Friends debacle, right? Like,
I've not watched Friends.
The one thing that you know about Friends is it's the centric question about Friends is, will Ross and Rachel end up together? And you really have to watch until the last episode to find out. And
so
in Big Bang, at some point,
for Big Bang, it's will Sheldon stop being Sheldon and be nice?
Honestly, I feel like that's the strongest character of Big Bang, in my opinion. And just the biggest strength of Big Bang is the character development. You know, each and every character develops so much during the first few seasons of that show. It's great.
Yeah.
But at some point, they reach what they wanted. Raj somehow learned to speak with women, so his development is done. Leonard finally gets together with Penny, so his development is done.
They married.
Exactly. And
Sheldon, we've not watched the last season, but I watched the interviews they did, and I watched the last how do you call it?
Last season?
No, when they do a reading before they release the last episode of the show. But anyway, it was so emotional, I had to watch it. Sheldon.
Don't spoil it for people. Don't spoil it.
Nobel.
Spoiler.
Peace. Not peace. The Nobel Prize.
Spoiler alert. Just skip a few seconds if you don't want to hear it.
No, I feel like everyone watched it except us. It's been long.
I don't know.
It's been long.
I know plenty of people who used to like that show, eventually dropped it because it got centric of the relationships. But maybe they want to watch it again.
Okay. I also have to watch it because... But I don't even remember where I left it. I remember. I stopped watching when Amy and Sheldon did something. No, during Penny's wedding.
Yeah, you basically got further than I did.
Yeah.
Oh, but I don't know. I feel like we spoiled so much.
It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
So that would be our ranking.
I agree with that ranking.
Yeah.
I feel like Blackish is one of the number one sitcoms for me because, it's very real and very funny at the same time. Which also, for example, the two shows that you just named, Modern Family and also Big Bang Theory, these are funny shows. Debatable if you find it funny, because as somewhat of a nerdy person, I feel like Big Bang is somewhat almost racist towards nerds. If nerds were a race.
Stop it.
So I don't like the.
But they make it look cool.
I don't like how they. No.
They portray.
They portray the nerd culture.
No, but that's how it is.
Oh dear.
Most of the time.
I don't think so. I think that's how the society views nerd culture. Yes.
Okay.
For example, maybe old school nerd culture. I feel like, for example, video games are very mainstream now. Think like 20 years ago, which were the people who were playing video games? Me and my friends, obviously.
You said video games and I remembered.
Oh. So here's another topic to talk about.
Not for today, please.
So here's a cliffhanger for the next episode. Next episode we are going to talk about
how
Stella
played
her
first
video game ever.
Super Mario.
It was Super Mario Brothers originally for the NES, for the Nintendo Entertainment System. We played it on the SNES, the All-Star Pack version of it. So it was the classic Super Mario Brothers.
But this was not, I told you this might not have been the first time I played it, because I had flashbacks to when I was 7.
I would be very surprised if this was the first time that you ever saw this.
I saw it, I played it maybe once or twice, and that's it.
So yeah, I feel like that's something for the next video.
It's so windy.
It is. Yeah. So let's wrap this up.
Yes. So let's do something before we wrap up. What don't you like about Blackish?
Oh, that's a difficult question, actually. Honestly, Blackish does many things right on so many levels. Some characters don't develop as much as I would like them to.
Like?
I don't know. Zoe eventually got her own spin-off, for example, when she goes to college.
I think it was time. But that's also a nice way of dealing with it.
That's true. She basically got moved out of the show at some point.
She makes some appearances here and there, but...
You can only make so many jokes about you being very superficial, right? And at some point it gets stale. So actually this is something that maybe you could rephrase that as the show dealt well with that.
Yeah.
I don't know. What would you say is one of the low points of Blackish?
Maybe not what makes it... No, maybe not a negative, but on the show itself, I felt it was a bit emotional watching Dre and Rainbow go through their separation, but they got back together.
You're just spoilers the person.
No. No, but people might have. Oh yeah, some people might not have watched it.
Most people might not have watched it.
I'm sorry. No, but where I come from, people have watched Blackish.
I see. But the good thing is you basically don't have to know anything about the show at all in order to watch it. And I feel like
it.
many of the we also watched many of the episodes out of order, and it's still very enjoyable. You can just watch any episode at a given time, I feel like. Just very rarely will they build up on each other.
Yeah. I feel like for anyone who wants to understand a little bit, I'm not saying this is going to be a PhD in race matters, but for anyone who would like to be more aware of racism,
definitely,
this is the show to watch.
Definitely.
And learn what not to say to Black people, and how to support like Black Lives Matter stuff, and just being more aware.
Exactly.
And being more sensitive towards, and it's simple things like how hair is done. I like how they pick on small issues that happen in daily life and use it on the show, and that's nice. Like there was that episode on how to deal with black hair.
They made an entire episode
out
about
of it.
Black hair. That's true.
Yeah. So just things you might not be aware of and want to learn more and be more sensitive. Yeah, I think this is the show to watch.
Exactly. So Blackish, watch it on Amazon. What's it called? Amazon Prime.
iTunes.
I think it's on iTunes as well. Yeah.
And there's some other.
Just look it up. Probably if you have streaming services, you have a good chance that Blackish is running on there. Check it out if you want to be more aware and be more into Black Lives Matter issues, because you said Black Lives Matter. This is very controversial for many people.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like it had to be if people were more aware of certain things. So if you want to educate yourself and be entertained at the same time, this is the show to go.
It's like we're getting sponsorship out of this.
We're not. No. I feel like we actually should phrase this. We are completely not sponsored right now. We have 9 subscribers. How could you think that we would be sponsored at this point?
Of course not. But
exactly. So this is just a recommendation at this point. I feel like we are.
Do you remember how after we finished the last episode, we started looking for something that would match up to...
It was difficult.
It was difficult.
It's very difficult. We tried several shows which didn't stick.
Yeah.
We found a good one that we are watching right now, which we will not talk about during this podcast.
Yes. And we might do another podcast on this.
Exactly. So tell us if you liked us rambling about Blackish for about 38 minutes by now.
Yes.
And if you would want something similar on another show that we also like a lot currently. So tell us about that.
And also let's do the ranking. Let's ask them to do the ranking.
Exactly.
And it's Blackish, Big Bang, and Modern Family.
Exactly. So tell us what you thought about the shows if you've seen them. Tell us in the comments down below. If you haven't yet, we would appreciate it if you subscribed to us on YouTube. And also keep giving us feedback. Honestly, it's really fun to do these podcasts for us right now. And we are thinking about doing other things as well on the channel, like, I don't know, some fun tutorial stuff, travel montages or something like that, or even how we do our milk tea, because this is how we came up with the idea of the name. Exactly.
Yeah.
So tell us about that, and if you like it, maybe share it with somebody you think might enjoy it.
Yes.
So I think this wraps it up. Thank you guys so much.
Episode 2 down.
Episode 2 down. Have a lovely day so far. All right. Bye.
Bye.